Blessed good afternoon to each and everyone. Welcome to U97.5 FM, Douglar Radio, hot like a pepper. And today we are going live from the St. Augustine Constituency, and at 7 p.m. sharp we'll be crossing over to UNC Speak. So stay tuned as we get into today's proceeding. So with me today, as usual, is none other than Jeffrey, and we are on the inside. I know, ladies and gentlemen, as we speak, I know for a fact if we were in studio, today would have been hundreds of phone calls and everybody interested in the reshuffle and Faris and Kazim and this one and that one and the other. But today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to deal with the issues that we are accustomed dealing with, because I know for a fact that the Prime Minister continued to bring that distraction across the board. And today, of course, as we warm up in house today, we will be dealing with a number of issues as we go along. So first of all, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you. I want to welcome each and every one, our listeners, our viewers, those locally, those internationally. We want to welcome each and every one of you to Douglar Radio as we go live from the constituency of St. Augustine. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, today, as we have been doing for the past couple of weeks, UNC speaks, and of course, as we continue to move throughout the various constituencies in Trinidad and Tobago, you will be hearing from a battery of speakers who will, of course, bring the facts to you on so many different issues. So stay tuned for that at 7 p.m. sharp. 7 p.m. sharp. We will be crossing over to UNC Speaks. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I have with me, as I said before, Renaissance Jeffrey, my co-partner in every aspect. I will allow Jeffrey to introduce himself to you and give you a bit of greetings before we get into tonight's proceedings.
As my good friend and comrade say, my name is Renaissance Jeffrey. You know, we in the St. Augustine area here, but we will be attacking a lot. We'll be attacking a lot of issues today, so stay tuned for these powerful speakers and them. They'll be jumping into numerous topics. As you could see yesterday, we try not to bring the issue with Faris too much and the reshuffling, because we watch that as a distraction. We watch that as one of the biggest distractions that taking place, because we would have seen before that the Prime Minister never jump out and say, well, here what's going on. He's not the one, he never jump out and say that he's the person that that intercepted the list. So testing, we kind of having a little kind of problem around, so we're trying to think the issue here now. So let me put you back on to none other than Victor Roberts.
Right, so here we have it, ladies and gentlemen. But today we would not be distracted. We will not deal with any form of distraction. We know, of course, that the Prime Minister, his strategy in this country is to continue to bring different distraction. Every time a serious issue occurs in this government, what we recognize is that the Prime Minister always come to the forefront and bring another distraction to really distract your minds from the main issue. So we are not going to be distracted. We will continue to deal with the Paria situation. We will continue to deal with the constitutional crisis. The constitutional crisis. We will continue to deal with the Prime Minister confession in relation to the kidnapping of the meritless. And these is the issues. I mean, there is so many burning issues that you can quote from as far back as 2015 in relation to this Keith Rowley government. But today, ladies and gentlemen, I will continue to advocate. We don't want to hear about Faris Alwari. We don't want to hear about Kazim Hussein and Clarence Rambarata. We don't want to hear. What we wanted to hear is that the Prime Minister dissolved Parliament and he have set a date for new elections in this country. That is what the Prime Minister should have done. That is what the Prime Minister need to do. Because we cannot continue with a Prime Minister who stand before this country on numerous occasions and blatantly lie to the public, blatantly, with a stone face. We can no longer accept that type of embarrassment from someone who holds one of the highest office in this country, which is the office of the Prime Minister. I mean, this man is a total embarrassment to that office. We have had Prime Ministers who before, but nothing, absolutely nothing. What we are experiencing now in this country, we have never ever experienced this type of behavior from a Prime Minister who sits, who leads the cabinet. We have never experienced this. And this is something that Trinidad and Tobago must advocate, that this Prime Minister demits office. That is what we must be advocating. We can no longer sit idly by and see our country go down in the direction in which we are heading and sit as though everything is honky-dory. No longer we can tolerate that. No longer. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we speak, we are now faced with the confession of the Prime Minister. And if a Prime Minister can confess that he is the one that is responsible for interfering and interfacing and making a whole mockery of our democracy in relation to getting rid of a sitting commissioner, acting commissioner at the time, getting rid of Gary Griffith, we can no longer sit and accept that. You see, what has happened is that when you accustom telling untruth, eventually you will run out. You will forget the last untruth that you speak. And this is what is happening to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister of this country, ladies and gentlemen, we have witnessed firsthand. We have witnessed firsthand that the Prime Minister stood up and categorically deny to the public, deny to the citizens that he had anything whatsoever to do with that merit list. He stood up and made it clear he had absolutely nothing to do with that merit list. He have never met anyone. But lo and behold, when the pressure starts, now he comes out, he jumped to the forefront. And he said, he make it plain as day by saying that, look, I am the one. And as the Prime Minister, I have some authority. You see, the Prime Minister must understand. The Prime Minister needs to understand that the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago not only governs us, but it governs his behavior, it governs the way he deals with situations, it governs a holistic way in which every member of Parliament ought to conduct themselves. And today, ladies and gentlemen, it is no different. we cannot accept what is going on today as governance in our country. I will share this with you. I will share this with you. On a number of occasions, we have had Keith Christopher Rowley conducting a number of press conferences. He spoke on a number of health issues. He spoke on crime. He spoke on a number of issues in our country. And today, ladies and gentlemen, while we see and we hear, while we listen, today in our country, we have a situation in Paria. And to date, you have not heard one word from your Prime Minister echoing the sentiment of condolence to the family, reaching out to the family, visiting the family. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. A matter of fact, the Prime Minister took the time out last weekend to go down to Barbados and relax.
Yeah.
Go down and relax. And Jeffrey, one must ask themselves, what is going on? What is really going on in this country?
So he see this big incident that take place here and he just went down there to relax?
Well, a private jet, a private flight, and I don't know what he went to privatize, but he enjoy himself.
And what does take place when it's not money he's spending?
And that is what we must not accept. That is something that we cannot accept. We must not accept that in this country. Because I will share something with you, ladies and gentlemen. We have to allow the Prime Minister to understand that the Prime Minister of this country is accountable to us.
Yeah.
We are the government. The Prime Minister and his cabinet, they are the administrators. And they are administrating based on our decision by electing them into office. And when we elect them into office, ladies and gentlemen, what have happened over the years in this country is every time we elect our government, we allow our government to do as they please. And this have to stop. This must stop. We must hold going forward any government, every government accountable. They must be accountable, one, to their actions, for their actions, and they must also be accountable to the people.
Yeah.
Must be accountable to the people. And we must set the stage going forward, where those who we would elect in the future, I hope the very near future, that going forward, accountability, transparency must be the order of the day, because we cannot allow another government to behave as this Keith Rowley administration behave. When you look at the structure in this PNM government, from top to bottom, when you look at the structure that is set, it is a clear case where it's about me, and more me. Because the people that is benefiting from the wealth, the treasury of this country, it is only a selective few. I call them the Fantastic Seven. I call them the Fantastic Sevens because they are the ones who have been bathing in money over the years in this regime. And while some people might be excited about a reshuffle, which it matters not to me, because I always say the problem may not directly be the individual, but the problem is the policies that the PNM bring to the table. That is my position. But while some might be excited about Alwari gone and this one come and who gone, to me, ladies and gentlemen, to me, the fact of the matter is, the fact of the matter must be not a reshuffle. Not a reshuffle. Rowley ought to reshuffle himself out of governance. And I would have hoped that yesterday was a day that Rowley see it fit to dissolve the parliament and to call elections, set a date where the country can give some group a new mandate in order to remove this country from the pit that this PNM government have us in. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue our discourse, I want to ask you today if you are satisfied with the governance of this country. And I think I could answer that question for you. And I know if we was in studio, we'd have hundreds of phone calls coming in at this time. But remember, we live in St. Augustine, and at 7 p.m. UNC Speak platform, we will cross over. And of course, there's a number of MPs and others who will be speaking to you on different topics as we go along. But I am saying, I know that this country can never be satisfied with the level of governance that we are having today. Never. We have seen a prime minister who took it upon himself and interfere with every independent institution in this country, contaminating it with politics, every independent institution. When you look at what happened coming out of the Police Service Commission fiasco, one will recall that our Prime Minister stood silently while he creates the mischief that have us in this problem today without a commissioner of police. We have seen Keith Rowley stood up. Keith Rowley speaks. Keith Rowley. And when you look at the behavior of Keith Rowley, you will have to ask yourself, ladies and gentlemen, if this is the conduct, if this is the behavior of a prime minister. We have seen Keith stood up, use all type of phrases to illustrate his position. All kind of phrases. We have seen Keith Rowley stood up and abuse women in this country in the worst way. We have seen Keith Rowley utterance to the press and to others. And we know for a fact, ladies and gentlemen, that the behavior of Keith Christopher Rowley, it is a behavior that is, let us face it like it is. It is a behavior that we would not conduct in our own homes. And coming out of that is what we now reap. Every government minister behavior speaks of that of Keith Rowley. When you look at the ministers, how they conduct themselves, how they deal with the constituencies, you will see it's a pattern that they have copied from Keith Christopher Rowley. And coming out of that pattern, ladies and gentlemen, today we have seen the government on the verge of collapse. We are seeing the government heading down a road of destruction, not only for themselves, but for the entire country. And that is why we are calling on you on a daily basis to stand up and to demand fresh elections in this country. You have to demand fresh election in this country. If you does not demand fresh elections in this country, ladies and gentlemen, what would be the end result to the young people, your children, your grandchildren? What future would they have to enjoy under this regime? You look at it. This is a PNM that you have never seen in your life. You have seen a PNM before with some level of compassion. But when you look at this Rowley administration, there is absolutely no compassion whatsoever. Rowley cannot match up to any one of the prime ministers that went before. Absolutely none. Rowley policies on a whole, it is policies that will not help you. It is policies that will not help the country. It is policies that will continue to send us backward. A matter of fact, because of the vindictiveness of this prime minister, we have seen a prime minister who removed every aspect of development in this country that was placed here by Kamala Persad-Bissessar. Every development that Kamala Persad-Bissessar brought to the table to help develop the young people, to move this country forward, to bring this country to a stage, you will see that Christopher Rowley remove every single policy that would generate a certain behavior, a pattern that Kamala Persad-Bissessar had set before. And that is why when you look what is happening even from in the school, from the little children, when you look at the school, the behavior of the children, I am telling you today, it is a behavior from the Prime Minister. Because if the Prime Minister of this country have no respect, if the Prime Minister of this country conduct himself using all different type of heinous languages on different media forum, what would you expect the children of this country to become? What would you expect them to become? And that is what people must recognize. People have to recognize that the policies of this government is the policies of a dictator. You have seen Keith Rowley interfere, go into any avenue you want to think about. Keith Rowley go in, he does what he want, he say what he want, and he get the result of what he want. When you look at all the position, all the strategic positions in this country, why you think Keith Rowley plays people who he trusts, people who may not be right for the job, but people who he trusts, place them in positions. And the reason for placing them in positions is so that at the end of the day, they could cover and breaks when the occasion arises. And that is what Keith Rowley have done to this place. You figure the commissioner, the acting commissioner that we have, the PNM acting commissioner that we have right now, you think that this acting PNM commissioner, you think that this man have the interests of the country at heart? You think this man care about a reduction within the crime rate? This acting commissioner that we have that now sits on the chair, he have to obey whatever the Prime Minister said. Whatever the Prime Minister say, he have to obey. When you have an acting commissioner of police taking instructions from an idiot who we have as a minister of national security, what would you expect to happen in this country? What would you expect to happen? It is lawlessness, it is chaos, and that is what will continue. And let me tell you something, the more you sit idly, the more you sit and relax, the more you sit and accept, it is the worst this country coming. This country very soon will reach what we call the boiling point. And when this country reach the boiling point, ladies and gentlemen, this is the time that you will experience crime as you have never experienced it before. We already on that road, you know. We already on the road. But it will only get worse. The more you relax, the less action you take to agitate, to stimulate, to warm this country up, to create a pressure, to create a tidal wave, to demand election, is the worst we would become in this country. Keith Christopher Rowley must go. Yeah. Keith Christopher Rowley have to go. Keith Christopher Rowley, ladies and gentlemen, we must do what is absolutely lawful, legally necessary to create that tidal wave, to cause that pressure to overflow so that this madman can call election in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to draw your attention to something else. I want to draw your attention, ladies and gentlemen, to this issue that we now face. We are facing an issue where, of course, we had 4 individuals losing their life in Paria. Yeah. Coming out of that, ladies and gentlemen, the leader of the opposition, first and foremost, called for that area to be shut down, to be secure, and the evidence must remain intact. We have seen coming out of this situation, we have one of the inspectors from OSHA resigning from his position. What was the reason? We can only speculate. We also had some 11 days pass before OSHA officials came out and made a statement that they have not given Paria any instructions in relation to cancelling the rescue effort. We have had statements coming out from Paria stating that the OSHA representatives, together with Paria, came to the conclusion that that action was necessary. Today we are learning, today we understand that there is no truth in that statement, that release from Paria. My question to you, ladies and gentlemen, Trinidad and Tobago, is why we still have this Paria board up and running, managing the affairs of Paria, and even managing to some level the affairs of this investigation. Keith Rowley jumped out the boots, and Keith Rowley said that he appointed senior counsel Lawrence Maraj to head a team in relation to a commission of inquiry. How come today, ladies and gentlemen, how come today this commission of inquiry cannot be outfitted with the necessary personnel to have that inquiry into that situation in Paria? Why? What is the reason? One must ask, what is the reason? Is it a lack of resources? Is it a lack of competent, capable individuals? Or is it a willful delay by those in authority not only allowing the site to be contaminated, but also the destruction of some of the evidence coming out of that situation? You know what is sad about that? What is sad about that, ladies and gentlemen, Trinidad and Tobago, is that today the people in this country, I tend to want to believe that we are really a 9-day wonder country. Because within the first 9 days of any given situation in this country, we up and hot and sweaty and we busy and protests and this must happen and that must happen for the first 9 days. And after the first 9 days pass in this country, I don't know if it's a case where people just accept. I don't know if it's a case that people just relax. I don't know if it's a case where people just stand down. And then what happened? We wait for the another situation to arise and another issue to come forth. And then when the another issue arise, then we up in arms again. We hot, we sweaty, we busy. This must happen, that must happen. And then as 9 days pass, we come back and we wait again for another situation. That is so sad. Because in this country, ladies and gentlemen, I have seen from Andrea Barat come right up, before and after. I have seen where this country get up, busy, want justice, and as 9 days pass, I am yet to understand what happened with the justice that we was looking for within the first 9 days. I am yet to understand. I am yet to understand how we could be so callous as a society to see what is going on in this country, and yet the people, we are just waiting to accept, building that courage to accept what is happening. That is what I'm seeing. I am seeing and listening everybody speaking about what may very well happen in relation to the gas price. And you will realize when the gas price raise, which is very soon, you will hear the whole of Trinidad and Tobago, everybody busy. Rowley must go, this must happen, we ain't buying, and we in this and we in that. And as 9 days pass, everybody find the money, buy the fuel, and we wait for another situation to come up. That is sad. That is more than sad. Because I'll tell you this, while we allow our government to escape with murder in this country, while we allow our government to misbehave themselves in public office in this country, I want you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, to understand that when you allow our government to set a precedent in this country, which the next government coming into office will follow. And let me tell you what I mean. I remember Basdeo Pandey set a precedent when he asked the president to appoint losing candidates as senators. And the PNM objected. People make a big hullabaloo. These is losing individuals. What you're bringing them back in the parliament? If the people want them, they would have voted them and all that. Yeah. But guess what? When it was tested in the court and the green light was given, then you see every government that comes after appoint losers to the Senate. Yeah. And that is when a precedent is set. And when you allow Keith Christopher Rowley to set all these precedent by interfering with the Police Service Commission, intercepting that merit list, having discussions with the president, reverse the list, something that the Constitution doesn't make leeway or give leverage to do, and you, the people in the country, sit down and allow all this to go untested, to go without demanding that it be retracted, what would you expect going forward? And this is what has happened to us over the years in relation to government. We allow government to misbehave themselves, and when we allow government to misbehave themselves and another government come in office, if it doesn't suit us, or it is not our color or the texture of our head, then we oppose. Because I am saying to you, Trinidad and Tobago, if was Kamala Bisesa was conducting business in this country as Keith Rowley, today this country would have been in uproar. This country would have been in uproar by the time Keith Rowley closed down Petrotrin. If was Kamala Bisesa who took that initiative and closed down Petrotrin, I am saying to you that this country would have been in uproar. This country, a matter of fact, as I always say, Rome would have burned. Yeah. Rome would have burned. But today, because it's Keith Rowley, I don't know what is all your problem with Keith Rowley. I don't know if all you fear him. I don't know if all you... I don't know what is the problem. But I am saying that this country is not standing up for equal rights and justice. Yeah. We standing up when it suits us. We standing up when it's our government. We standing up when we could benefit. It's time the citizens of this country stand up where the future, where the children of this country would be able to benefit. That is what this thing must come to. We cannot continue to allow our government to misbehave in every aspect of governance, and yet we sit down and remain quiet. We have a speaker in the house who ought to be the referee. The speaker ought to be the third, the first, the second, and the third umpire. The speaker ought to ensure that when a debate comes to the parliament, that it is according to the standing orders, and each side must be given the opportunity to debate and to deal with situations in relation to governance. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are seeing that the Speaker in the House, that individual is strictly about governance on behalf of a political party. Strictly government, 10 minutes, right. Strictly on behalf of a political party. We have a bunch of independent senators. What is the role and function and responsibility of these independent senators? Those independent senators, they are placed in the Senate. They are there as checks and balance. They are also there to ensure that when a bill, a piece of legislation comes to the Senate, that piece of legislation is in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago, not in the interest of a political party. They are there to stand up and to speak out and to ensure that justice and fairness be applied to the Constitution. But today, when we look into the Parliament with the bunch of independent PNM senators that we have, that is how I call them, independent PNM senators, they stood and they defend every piece of legislation that the PNM bring to the Senate. Every piece. Every single piece. And on top of that, we have some of them coming out vocally and speaking against Opposition 1. We have Senator Vera, who stood up in the Senate and speak of some judge or 2 judge or 3 judge who call him and express the disgust and the dissatisfaction in the opposition. And he had the belly to stand up and say that in the Senate. And today we still have them judge, whether they be in the High Court, they still there. And added to that, we still have Vera sitting in the Senate. And that is what we accept as a people in this country. That is what we sit down and allow to happen. I am saying today that you, the people of this country, you are the ones who ought to stand up and take the necessary lawful action to remove this government. You have a voice. Section 4 of the Constitution give you some authority. I have seen we sit idly by and allow Keith Rowley to remove, to chip away Section 4, chip it away, piece by piece. And yet we say nothing. We say nothing. What would it take again for this country to stand up and demand good governance? That is my question. That is my question. What would it take for this country to stand up and demand good governance? For years, I have been saying, I have been calling on the Law Association. What sayest thou with all the flaunting of the Constitution? And the Law Association, nobody, not one of them would respond to all the crisis that we have in this country today. Not one. But guess what? When we look at things today, we understand why the Law Association had nothing to say all the time. We understand why. And this is what we accept in this country. We have to do what we have to do, and we have to do it quickly. We have to do it quickly. Trinidad and Tobago, as we wind up, 7 o'clock, we'll be moving over. TNT, UNC speaks, we come in. But as we wind up, I am saying to you, Trinidad and Tobago, today, I am calling on every one of you, every citizen of this country, to stand up and to ensure that you do your part to ensure good governance come to Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you. We'll be going over very shortly. Very shortly, we'll take a break at this point in time. And when we come back, we're going live from St. Augustine. Corky, stay on track. Keep the dial hot. We're going to switch over here now. And you stay tuned to bring it live. So Archie, back to you as we wrap up this segment. God bless. Stay safe. Good night.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Please stand at attention for the national anthem of Trinidad and Tobago. The national anthem will be performed by Jeremiah Amin Roston, a student of Trinity College. Thank you, Jeremiah. Please remain standing for a universal prayer by the young Pandit Mayank Ramguli of Ramguli Shewala, Paria.
Please clasp your hands, bow your heads, close your eyes as we assume a mode of prayer. Om Shri Ganganapate Namaha. O Lord, thank you for bringing us here safely to continue with tonight's proceedings. May we continue to provide and protect those we are here to serve. Om Asato Ma Saragamaya, Damaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Lord, bless us that tonight we be led by the truth and only the truth. May whatever roles, offices, or functions we are here to provide, that we do it to our best of our ability. May we all continue to be selfless and not selfish, and may we do the best we could to transform this nation into betterment and productivity. May we all rise and rise and rise. Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. Good night. Thank you.
Good night all. Welcome to our UNC forum. We're speaking tonight. I am Prakash Bharat, one of your co-hosts tonight. On my right is Mr. Keevan Gibbs Alderman. at the Tunapuna Piapo Regional Corporation.
Good night, St. Augustine. I'll take off my glasses, nobody here. Good night, St. Augustine. I want to start by saying good night to our political leader, Mrs. Kamala Bissessor, who we are working hard to bring back as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and to bring back caring and love to the governance of this country. Our first speaker tonight is Mr. Amit Mahabir. He's a businessman, a lawyer, and importantly, the chairman of the St. Augustine UNC Executive. Please welcome Mr. Mahabir.
Good night to our political leader, Honorable Mrs. Kamala Bissessor, a distinguished and visionary leader, our esteemed Member of Parliament for St. Augustine, Vice Chairman of the United National Congress and Shadow Minister for Rural Development and Local Government, Ms. Khadija Amin. Member of Parliament for Barataria San Juan, our Shadow Minister, Attorney General and Legal Affairs, Mr. Saddam Hussein. Good night to our councillors, our guest speakers, viewing and listening audience on all social media networks tonight. My name is Amit Mahabir. I am the chairman of the St. Augustine UNC Executive. Welcome to the St. Augustine constituency. Let me just tell you how happy and delighted I am to see all of you here tonight, my UNC family. Give yourself a round of applause. It is indeed a great feeling that we can now all come together and advocate on these matters, the matters that truly matters to us all. Tonight is about TNT Speaks, where we are highlighting the social and economic issues affecting our beloved Trinidad and Tobago. We are highlighting the facts that Rowley must go. We are highlighting his incompetence, dear incompetence. I must thank the Prime Minister for that reshuffle yesterday. That reshuffle just further provoked the government's incompetence and corruptness. What was the Prime Minister hoping to achieve, I ask? Reshuffle the pack, yet the same pack of jokers. According to our Honorable Kamala Bissessor, it's just another attempt to distract the country from a collapsing government. This government is already imploding. This government is already collapsing. Let me remind you, because we seem to forget. Under the Prime Minister Keith Rowley government, bridges are collapsing. To name a few, Rup Singh Road Bridge, Lightbourne Bridge in Gasparillo, Bailey Bridge on Lower Piparo Road, and most recently, the Golden Grove Bridge by the prisons, all collapsed. Under the United National Congress government, a visionary leader under Kamala Bissessor saw the need not just maintain bridges, but build bridges. St. Helena Bridge, to name a few, and the Darby Bridge. The economy is collapsing. Under Kamala Bissessor, businesses registrations increased from 6,659 in 2010 to over 4,000 registrations by 2015. The economy was stabilized and returned to a growth path. Roadway is collapsing under Rowley government. The Solomon Hochoi Highway just recently near the Mosquito Creek is no surprise. But under the United National Congress government, we saw constructions of roadways, commissioned Uriah Butler Highway interchange. We saw the Valencia bypass roads developed, constructed the Couva-Presal interchange, and the list goes on. The education system seemed to be collapsing. Our councillor Jalen Rupnarain has been advocating for the Cure Presbyterian School to be reopened. That school is now covered in bush. When you pass on that street, you can no longer see the school. Under the United National Government, under Kamala Bissessor, let me remind you that 95,000 students saw laptops, bringing secondary students to a digital age. We saw Kamala Bissessor implemented e-textbooks for parents who could not afford. More than 100 new schools were delivered, and MP Gopi Singh in Parliament, I remembered, listed all 100 schools that was opened during 2010 to 2015. Petrotrin shut down. Paria collapsing. MP Munilal 3 days ago had to talk about Paria oil rig that just fallen, but yet we cannot get any answers under this government. The public sector is in shambles. The community centers throughout Trinidad and Tobago, if all not already shut down, closed down. Under Kamala Persad-Bissessar government, we saw the Destiny Community Center in 2014 reopen. That was the same time St. Augustine South Community Center in Freeman Road was commissioned and refurbished. I am the president of the St. Augustine South Community Center. I can't remember the last time we were allowed to step foot into the community center to conduct activities. The healthcare system under this Rowley administration in shambles. Do you remember during this COVID-19 pandemic, we saw long lines of our elderly friends and families in the hot sun and in rain waiting for vaccines, only to be told to come back another day. How did you feel about that? So many people calling the daily morning talk show programs, my favorite being the 106.5 FM. I would hear callers pleading for help on a daily basis when they can't access their medicines. Under the Kamala Persad-Bissessar regime, over 8,500 individuals benefited from the implementation of the prepaid dialysis program, which allows patients to receive free dialysis treatment. Over 4,300 persons benefited from cardiac care, both public and private health institutions provided by UNC government. We saw the refurbishment of over 105 health centers. We completed the Children's Hospital, started the Ariman Point Fortin Hospital. Let's not talk about the Couva Hospital, because I shudder to think what would have happened during this COVID-19 pandemic if it wasn't for Kamala Persad-Bissessar vision that saved Rowley today. People are without water. Under Kamala Persad-Bissessar, we saw 70% of the population receive clean water. Security collapsing. Police stations were built during 2010 to 2015. Unemployment, we saw over 100,000 people without jobs under the PNM. Unilever just announced 119 workers to be sent home and on the breadline. TSCT just announced 450 people on the breadline. Yet, between 2010 to 2015, settled 135 collective agreements, paying over $3 billion to workers. Kamala Persad-Bissessar administration saw 56,000 new jobs that was created. Under Kamala Persad-Bissessar, we saw people-centered governance. Under her guidance and leadership, we saw so many grants that assisted everyone. MP, I need to remind everybody about these things, because we tend to forget the old age pension that was increased to $3,000. We tend to forget the housing grant to purchase furniture and appliances, increased from $4,500 to $6,000. Domestic help grant increased from $1,600 to $1,800 per month. Funeral grant increased from $3,450 to $7,000. And the list goes on. But coming back to Prime Minister Rowley, grant, I ask how many of you still are waiting on your COVID-19 social support grant, and how many times we are told to reapply, to reapply, to reapply. 2020 to 2022, I know a lot of St. Augustine's constituency residents still waiting on those grants. People are without electricity, cost of living is high, unemployment rate skyrocketing. Don't get distracted by KFC catch-up fees. Don't get distracted by Rowley reshuffle. We, the people of St. Augustine, want Rowley to call an election now. Are you ready to face the polls? Yeah. Are you ready to return Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC as the government? Yes! Most importantly, are you ready to bring back good governance? Yes! I want you to know and remember the party that cares for you is United National Congress. In Kamala Persad-Bissessar, you have a leader that loves you. In Kamala Persad-Bissessar, you have a leader that supports you. Long live Kamala Persad-Bissessar and long live the UNC. Thank you and enjoy the program.
want to say thank you, Chairman. Thank you. I have a full page to introduce the next speaker. But I want to say the name Saddam Hussein doesn't need much introduction. The name Saddam Hussein strikes fear into the heart of Faris Alwari, at least used to. For the last few years, from the Senate and now as an MP for Barataria San Juan, Saddam has proven himself to be one of the strongest legal minds.
Our country. Because what we have seen yesterday was a government that is on the brink of collapse. It is a government that cannot hold on to power anymore. That cabinet reshuffle was nothing more than a distraction to take off the heat from the Prime Minister, who could barely hold on as political leader of the PNM and as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. It is a distraction. And then this man shuffled the pack of cards, but he forgot to take out the joker. Because after tragedy, they thought that reshuffling that pack of jokers will take off the heat from what took place in Paria. But we as United National Congress will not. We will continue to prosecute that issue until justice is brought to those families. Because it is inhumane in the manner in which Paria operated. It is tantamount to state-sanctioned manslaughter. That is what it was. That is what it was. And then there were so many things happening that the Prime Minister, he didn't know what to do next. Paria happened, then he looking for another distraction. He come up and he tell the people, he said, well, it is me. I am the man who went to the President's house and met with the former chairman of the Police Service Commission. But I think that is a very important issue that we have to remember. We have to understand what the Police Service Commission of this country does. And that Police Service Commission is a constitutional body. We have the Constitution, so that is the supreme law. That is the body that is in charge of advising the President who should be the Commissioner of Police. And the reason why it is independent, and Kirk Megu will tell you, it is because a government should never have control over the police service. And why is that important? Because there must be independence. The police must be allowed to do their work without any threat, without any pressure, so that you don't have political victimization. That is why you have an independent police service commission to appoint a commissioner of police. But then the Prime Minister told the country that when Ms. Bliss Prasad went to the President's house to drop the list from the President, Mrs. Paula May Weeks, he had to provide some information to Bliss Prasad. Well, respectfully, Prime Minister, that is none of your business. You should have taken some advice from your senator. What you doing there? What you really doing there? What you was walking in the botanical gardens and you happened to see Bliss Prasad by the President's house, so you say, let me run across the road and let me go and give you the information? Is that what it was? That is not how the country operates. If the Prime Minister named man, he should have allowed the list to reach the Parliament, and don't be a coward and vote down Gary Griffith. This was an entire conspiracy to get rid of Gary Griffith. Keith Rowley, you did not want Gary Griffith. And I can say that without any fear of being sued here tonight, because it is the same Prime Minister who went on a platform and told this country that he had lost confidence in Gary Griffith 1 year ago. You all remember that? You all remember that? And Gary Griffith is not a member. Gary Griffith is not a member of the TTPS in terms of, he's a civilian. Let me put it that way. He was a civilian who was appointed as the Commissioner of Police. So therefore, the law did not at the time allow him to act as the Commissioner of Police. When his contract expired, the law was set up in such a way that the Deputy Commissioner of Police would have then become the Commissioner of Police. But Keith Rowley, as the head of the cabinet, Faris Al-Rawi, as the Attorney General, changed that law. They changed the law in such a way that Gary Griffith would now be allowed to act as the Commissioner of Police. Understand that, eh? 1 year ago, Keith Rowley said he lost confidence in Gary Griffith. Then 1 year later, as the head of the cabinet, approved a law to allow Gary Griffith to act as the Commissioner of Police. What kind of sense that really making? What kind of sense that really making? It is illogical. It is irrational. It is the thoughts of a madman. What gave you, Keith Rowley, the confidence in Gary Griffith again 1 year later? Is it that you found out that somebody in your cabinet close to Gary Griffith and they set you up? Is it that, Keith Rowley? Is it that is why you went afterwards to President House? I'm asking for the list to be pulled, to give Blissy Prasad information so that list don't go forward? Is it that? There is a constitutional provision and a constitutional procedure where that name should have come to the Parliament. The Prime Minister has no business in going to the President's house and giving information in that manner. He has no business. So, you know, I saw a video on TikTok, and the fellow was saying, he said, Rowley said he went to President's house, and he gave the information to Blissy Prasad. That is not interference, that is interfacing. The fella say if you're playing a game at all fours, and you're holding a jack, and somebody behind you say, hey, look, this man have a jack. That is interference or interfacing? So Rowley can spin this all he wants. That is an unlawful action taken by the Prime Minister, and he needs to be investigated whether or not he had committed an offense of misbehavior in public office. The Prime Minister of this country has to be investigated to determine whether or not he committed an offense of misbehavior in public office. And today I heard the Acting Commissioner of Police, Mr. Jacob, saying, well, the man who made the complaint in the first place should make a report before he starts to investigate. When it had email gate, who made the report? Nobody made the report, yet there was an international investigation into a former Prime Minister of this country who was accused of conspiring to murder a journalist with Gary Griffith. The same man you accused of being in a conspiracy to murder a journalist, you appoint him as your Commissioner of Police. So this government really don't make sense. Or they really not making sense. The Commissioner of Police ought to do the honorable thing, Mr. Jacob, and launch that investigation into what took place at President's house. Yeah. That is what has to happen. And then, you know, as a member of Parliament, we all hold shadow portfolios. And my shadow portfolio is that of the Attorney General. And you know, yesterday I felt sorry for my friend, Mr. Faris Al-Rawi. I felt sorry for him. Because he woke up in the morning as the Attorney General, and by the evening, well, you all know the rest. And Mr. Faris Al-Rawi, you know, when life gives you lemon, you make lemonade. So think about it this way. You're no longer in a position to lose any more cases for the government. You lost enough. And, you know, they really set up the man, because yesterday I was thinking, but why did they appoint Faris Al-Rawi as the Minister of Local Government? Now, I went back to that Newsday article that I found. And this is what the Newsday article says. That Newsday article dated the 13th of December 2018. Inbird to control local government. Right here, you know. So Faris really gets set up. There's a fracturing in the cabinet right now, where it have one part of the cabinet that support the Prime Minister, and the next part of the cabinet that don't really like the Prime Minister. And I don't know whether or not Mr. Al-Rawi falls in that category that don't really support the Prime Minister, but the Prime Minister lost confidence in him yesterday as his Attorney General and appointed him as the Minister of Local Government. So when Faris Al-Rawi thinks that he's getting a Ministry of Local Government, he has to think again. Because there's a law right now in the Parliament, and Khadija sat on that Joint Select Committee that deals with local government reform. And essentially, they're going to remove this Ministry of Local Government. They're removing it. And all of that now is going to be placed under the hands of the Minister of Finance. So basically, Minister Imbert will be controlling the local government bodies, the Shogunas Borough Corporation, the Pinal Debe Regional Corporation, Sawa Lavantil, the Tunapuna Piako. Minister Imbert will be directly in control of all of those corporations. Effectively, there will be no more local government, or there will be no need for a Minister of Local Government. So Faris Al-Rawi, you had to really take a Kobo sweat. You really had to take a Kobo sweat. So that is the reality of the day. We are seeing a government that is fractured. I heard some political analysts saying, well, this is a strategic move by the government in order for them to ready themselves to local government. Well, that is nothing more further from the truth. What we have seen yesterday is a fractured party. You're telling me that a sitting Minister of Agriculture resigned his position and that is a strategic move? That is a strategic move to ready yourself for local government? That is not no strategic move. It shows that the government has imploded. And the United National Congress, under the leadership of Kamala Persad-Bissessar, will restore dignity and good governance to Trinidad and Tobago. That is what we will do. That is what we will do. Kamala Persad-Bissessar will ensure that she places competent individuals in her cabinet to ensure good governance, to better the lives of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Because we must remember, when she was the Prime Minister, they brought serious crimes down to the lowest levels in almost 1 decade. Amit spoke of all of the facilities that she would have constructed in terms of the hospitals that today the government had to use in order for its COVID response. We had placed almost the most amount of money into the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, while this government has continued to raid it to pay their friends, families, and contractors. Amit spoke of the 100 schools in which the former Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar presided over. What is Keith Rowley's legacy? What is Keith Rowley's legacy? The man has no legacy. It is time for Keith Rowley to go. Keith Rowley must go. The PNM must go. And I'm asking you all tonight that the United National Congress is a strong party. We are a party that we are ready for government. We ask that our supporters join us. And those on the fence come off the fence and jump across on the UNC. It is time for us to stand strong, stand tall, and let us bring back good governance to Trinidad and Tobago, bring back the UNC in government, bring back Kamala Persad-Bissessar as the next Prime Minister of our beloved Twin Island Republic. I thank you very much, St. Augustine.
Let's hear it for MP Saddam Hussein. I want to hear everything here, and that is TNT speaking to you. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, our leader, is saying to Trinidad and Tobago, day in, day out, and putting before you every single thing that is bad about this country today. Every single thing that is dark in this country today. Our leader, our MPs, our senators, our councillors, and you the activists, we are showing the people of Trinidad and Tobago that Trinidad and Tobago is in a dark place. And the PNM and Keith Rowley must what? Must go. They must go. Must go now. We have had too much. We can't continue. Our children cannot continue to suffer. Our grandchildren cannot continue to suffer. Where's the future in this country? And we're being led every single day down a steep and a dark place. What's in for our youths? What's in for the youth of this country? The women of this country? The hard-working fathers of this country? And as we talk about the youth, there's a young man today in our midst who has been doing a lot of work in the St. Augustine constituency. He has been working with the youths working with the footballers, dealing in sport. When Greenville had this massive flood, as you remember, this young man and his team went into Greenville and assisted the people there. He didn't need to do that, but he saw that the UNC works. He saw that the UNC cares. He saw that the party led by Kamala Bisesa cares. And he went and assisted and worked with those people in Greenville. And he has continued to work and continue to show that he's a vibrant young man. Put your hands together and welcome to the podium, young, energetic, vibrant Zambo Swift.
MP for St. Augustine, Ms. Khadija Amin. MP for Paria, Mr. Saddam Hussein, with a strong and powerful speech. Councillors, special invited guests, ladies and gents, good evening. My name is Zambo Swift. I'm here to speak on issues affecting the youth of St. Augustine community. Tonight I will touch on two: unemployment and lack of training opportunities. Having a significant number of youth unemployed can have an impact on community, economic growth and development. If this issue left unchecked, it can have serious repercussions, leading to social exclusion, anxiety, and lack of hope for the future. With this Rowley government, there has been many loss of jobs, loss of incomes. UTT, Petrotrin, WASA, TSTT, well as the private sector. And this was happening long before COVID. Under Kamala Bisesa, there were many jobs available for young people. I know for a fact, in Tunapuna and St. Joseph, there are twice the amount of number of CPEP teams than in St. Augustine constituency. Is this because St. Augustine is a UNC stronghold? Or is this political discrimination? The youths of St. Augustine are calling on you, Mr. Rowley, to be fair and equal with the distribution of jobs throughout the East-West Corridor and Trinidad. Ladies and gents, the same has been happening in URP. Who is the employment relief going to in St. Augustine at this time when the people need it? Under Kamala Bisesa, there was CPEP and URP in every constituency. People had jobs. Regardless you are UNC or PNM. But the youths don't just want URP and CPEP jobs. They also want training opportunities to continue to better themselves, to provide for their families. Opportunities for skill training, evening classes, and after-school programs will equip the youth to contribute to the economic growth of TNT. This government has been reducing and shutting down programs such as the Hotel School in Chagaramas, NESC, HYPE, MIC, YTEP, MOS, and many more. These were places where young people can learn skills to better themselves while earning $1. Under this Rowley government, our youths are losing hope. This government is causing youths to turn to a life of crime and violence. Our country is dying a slow death. Ladies and gentlemen, they also cut the gate funding. One thing for sure, we all know Ms. Kamala Bisesa believes in young people. Under her government, a lot of opportunities were created for the youths of Trinidad and Tobago. Under Kamala Bisesa, there was CPEP and URP in every constituency, and people had jobs regardless of UNC or PNM. My gosh. Yeah, all right. The first time on this stage, my people, but I will get there. This government has been reducing and shutting down programs such as Hotel Schools in Chagaramas, Hype, MIC, YTEB, MUS, and many more. These were places where young people could learn a skill to better themselves while earning a stipend. Under this Rowley government, youths are losing hope. This government is causing youth to turn to a life of crime. Our country is dying a slow death under this government. Young people of Trinidad and Tobago must be allowed to contribute to the national development of the economy. Being skilled, being employed, give a sense of purpose and well-being. We need a brighter hope. I'm calling on you, all of you, Trinidad and Tobago, my St. Augustine people. We must stand together. Rowley has failed us. Rowley must go. I want you all to repeat with me and say after me, Rowley must go. Rowley must go. Rowley must go. I thank you.
Let's hear it for Zambo, our youth speaker here tonight. Now listen to me. Zambo telling earlier, and in most of the things he said to you all there, everything in this country, from his statement as a youth, things getting hard. Well, things are getting hard, partner. Things real hard in this country. Nothing in this country is easy again under the PNM. Absolutely nothing in this country is easy again. To register birth in this country is hard. To register death is hard. To do a cremation is hard. To do a burial is hard. Here, man, to go in the grocery, you're going and you have 5 things in your hand, you have to put down 2. Because it's hard, hard, hard. And our leader, Kamala Bisesa, as you know, in 2010 to 15, she took out VAT. She made things easy for the people. She consulted the people of Trinidad and Tobago before she took decisions. And that is what this PNM is not doing. They are not consulting the people of this country. They are making irrational decisions that affect you, your children, and your grandchildren. So I want to tell Zambo, when Kamala Bisesa returns to power, when the UNC returns to power, we're going to make it easy. We are going to make it easy because we are going to reintroduce most of the things that the PNM has taken away from our people. There's a young lady in our midst here tonight. She's been a councillor since 2010, 2013 when she served her first term. And then she came back in 2016, 2019, serving another 3 years. And then, currently, in 2019 elections, she was also victorious. So she's almost serving 9 years, working for the community of Curep Paje. She's also our minority leader in the corporation and doing a very good job at that. She's been working with the Women's Arm of the United National Congress, a vociferous, a bright, a very vibrant young lady. Put your hands together and welcome to the podium none other than Councillor Jalen Rupnarine.
Thank you very much, my brother, Councillor Prakash Bharat. Honorable Political Leader, Mrs. Kamala Bisesa, Member of Parliament for St. Augustine, Ms. Khadija Amin, and the best ever Member of Parliament we ever have. Make some noise, yes? General Secretary of our party, Mr. Peter Kanhai, other honorable MPs, senators, councillors, aldermen, constituency executive, activists, our media here today. Big up Mr. Archie. and the people and constituents of St. Augustine. Good evening. Welcome to the homeland of the UNC in the East-West Corridor, St. Augustine. In this very constituency is my electoral district of Paria. I am your humble servant, leader, Chalin Rupnarine. How are you feeling tonight? Are you UNC and proud? I have been in politics since 2005, starting my journey in the constituency of Davide Umara as an activist and becoming a councillor in 2010, thanks to the Honourable Kamala who has been, and to me, will always be, the best Prime Minister our country ever had. Agreed? Back then, I can say we delivered, and we delivered with care and genuine concern for citizens and their needs. Many projects were accomplished. We were on the road to prosperity. People and our human capital were at the heart of our country's development. So much progress was made, even though 5 years was not enough to bring this country up to standard, which is in line with the vision of Kamala But now, under the spiteful, vicious, vulgar, vacuous, and vindictive, Rowley-led PNM government, we are suffering. And the suffering continues without an end in sight. What are they doing? My district also stifled from the biased distribution of resources, which I won't go into because my other colleagues will mention the same challenges they face. I want to focus on 3 main points tonight. Let us start with number 1, drainage. The Blackman River in Kirep, which is known for flooding, I have been requesting from the Minister of Works to pay special attention to this river, which is a hazard. Many proposals were brought forward, and to date, nothing has been done, with the exception of continued flooding. The residents on Abdul Lane are fed up. And to name a few more streets, Joyo Street, Blackman Lane, Watt Street, and I can go on and on. Tonight I am calling on the Minister of Works and Transport, the Honourable Rohan Sinanan. Time for you to come down from your comfort zone and focus on the people of Kirep who are affected by this river. Number 2, education. The Kirep Presbyterian School has been neglected by this government. Instead of children sitting comfortably to study, unlike the Balize house is now harboring snakes, rats, and giant snails attending the school. I won't go much into details, but this very school was almost 80% near to completion when Kamala was Prime Minister. Now you tell me if our leader didn't seek the interest of education for our children in our country. But again, they all continue to play politics and not to pick up the slack and get the job done. I am calling on you, the Honourable Dr. Nayan Gaspi Doli. Get out of your comfort zone and start seeking the interest of education in St. Augustine. One of the most important components of any successful society, and by extension the communities in them, is its ability to prepare children for their future. Education is the key in this regard, and St. Augustine deserves better. Number 3, funds. I wish to educate the public a bit about the budget. When our goodly Minister of Finance stands and reads a budget in Parliament, he advises the public of money allocated to the corporation. Enter our eyes open big? Don't be fooled. The disappointing part is that money allocated and money released are 2 different things. To date, we are still waiting on releases to provide the services. Better has to be done. Better has to come out of such situation, and we the people. You the people must be able to benefit. This is our primary focus. Without you the people benefiting, nothing works and nothing functions. I want to share a little bit of what's happening in the Tunapuna Piaka Regional Corporation. Despite the fact that Cabinet Minute 902 put forward allowances of $1,000 to councillors for incidental expenses related to our offices. This was approved by Parliament in 2011. Who was in government then? Kamala Bisessa. Imagine now, the Ministry of Finance insists that the corporations must request this money on behalf of the councillors on a monthly basis. Furthermore, they must provide documentation in support of these requests. The release of fund covers the incidental, and it is treated right now as an optional item, meaning that the funds are not released to the corporation on a regular, consistent basis, but instead when the ministry sees it fit to do so. How are we supposed to run our offices? How are we supposed to buy printing ink, paper, and other stationaries? How? Tell me how, Mr. Rowley. I am calling on the Minister of Local Government, the Honorable Kazim Hussein. Wait! We now have a new Minister of Local Government. Well, a gentleman who seemingly is special, or at least he believes that he is special. He got the biggest demotion from AG to Minister of Local Government. Well, I never see a lawyer so excited to fix Bokshin in my life. Minister Faris, Al-Wari, Al-Rental. Time to put your boots on the ground and get cracking to see what we are encountering at the Tunapuna Piapa Regional Corporation for funds. Instead, we have a government who is taking time to shuffle a cabinet that is already lazy and not to mention disloyal to the people of this country. Let me remind you of one thing. Moving someone from one office to another does not change your incompetence. Why don't you take the time to focus on women and girls who are crying out as a result of high food prices? Oh, Clarence resigned and gone back Canada. The man of Minister of Agriculture never even plant a peace tree so we could get a little green peas and to make some pilau. That is performance, that is failure. What about crime, which gives the citizens assurance for their safety? Well, Keith shuffle the pack and leave the biggest joker, Hines, the biggest failure as Minister of National Security, who said he's not responsible for our safety and security. People, let us not forget these 4 divers who lost their life innocently. May their souls rest in peace. Their family deserves justice. I can go on and on and on tonight because I have so much to say about this incompetent PNM government. But we will have more platforms like this where we will expose this lying government. My question to you, brothers and sisters, do you want to continue suffering under the PNM? So tonight, my family, my UNC family, say it with me. We are UNC and we are proud. And we will return to government when elections are called. But first, we will be victorious in the local government elections. And we will be telling you, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, the seat of Prime Minister doesn't fit your bio. And as the youths are saying today, come down from there. You, the people, deserve better. We deserve better. Long live Kamala Bisessa. Long live the United National Congress. I thank you.
Trying to get this thing done quickly. I want to ask you all something. You all ready to learn something? Because the next speaker, every time I talk to him, I expect to get a master class. Today we're going to get a master class on the economy. Former Senator Tahaka Obika, welcome to the stage. We vote for the UNC, vote for Kamala, let down one tree, and we vote for the UNC, lift your finger, UNC, and we vote for the UNC, vote for Kamala.
Good night, St. Augustine. How are you feeling, say yeah? All right. It's been a long time being in front of people because I didn't go any private tests. So it feels good being here in St. Augustine. A round of applause to the Member of Parliament. The vibrant, visa-faced politician, MP Khadija Amin. And of course, another vibrant, visa-faced politician on the corridor, Saddam Hussein. Now, St. Augustine is a very important constituency. This is the home of the University of the West Indies. Next to you is St. Joseph and Tunapuna. And with just those two seats, we will form the next government. So when the next election bell rings, St. Augustine people, don't stay in Paria Extension and the areas around UWI. Go and find people in Councillor Seema's district, in Farm Road, and make sure every last voter go out. Go and find people up the hill in Tunapuna and make sure every last voter go out, because even if you bring 100% of the UNC vote here, that is changing the vote across the Eastern Main Road and across in Farm Road. Just a simple lesson. This is the most critical constituency in Trinidad and Tobago. No pressure. So, we had a cabinet reshuffle. The Attorney General went to sleep as Saddam Hussein tell you as the AG, and he wake up as the man in charge of box drain. Now, local government ministers in charge of potholes on the road, rat infestation. Well, Faris Alwari always talks about Surat. If you have a law, you want to change the law, Surat. You want to do something to bypass parliamentary decisions of the UNC, Surat. Well, now he will know about Suarat. So the language same. Yeah, much to change. Now, but what is more important? This economy. The people heard about the parliamentary reshuffle. But what we want in Trinidad and Tobago is an economic reshuffle. We want the whole government to reshuffle itself and get out of office. Because the 113,000 people who are unemployed in this country, they need a reshuffle of the economy. You have the youth speaker talk to you about the closure of Hotel School and the skills acquisition centers in this country. All the young people who are looking forward to getting skills, to get jobs, they need a reshuffle of the government spending that took away the money that they needed. And of course, the $7.5 billion businesses are being owed. You heard the political leader say it on Monday. Businesses in this country are being owed $7.5 billion. That's $7,500 million in VAT refunds. But of course, they come in with the property tax to ask people's savings and whatever little money they can't find. So economic diversification, they talk about that plenty. The last thing we hear about that was $500 million for agriculture. Now they bust the throat at the man who was in charge of agriculture for 6.5 going on 7 years, Clarence Rambarat. This so-called P&M roadmap led us nowhere. This so-called roadmap to recovery led the country nowhere. Of course, let's look at diversification. A simple number. 80% of the exports that we earn as a country comes from two sectors, oil and gas and fertilizers and petrochemicals. The rest is less than 20%. And that is 2019, latest statistics, before COVID, before the Russia-Ukraine crisis. So is this government diversifying an economy? Let me hear you. You're singing good, but when this song, I wanted the song gooder. Let me hear you. Of course, you know the English is better, but sometimes broken English is sweeter. So we're looking at $7.7 billion being generated from one sector of the economy. And this government is talking about diversification. The $500 million that were to go to the farmers, did that diversify this economy? No. Sandals, Tobago, did that diversify the economy? No. Of course, in Port of Spain, the Minister of Trade, Gallivan herself, before she was popular as the minister that hugged up Obama, now she's popular as the minister that said that Ariapita Avenue will diversify the entertainment landscape in this country. Has that done anything? In fact, the private zest that had the police run all over the country did more to attract money than whatever they did, the $20 million they were supposed to have spent in Ariapita Avenue. This government, under that failed Minister of Agriculture, and I heard some people online, PNM spin doctors trying to say he did so much for agriculture. And when people ask him name one thing, well, you know, this Minister of Agriculture closed down Caroni Green, a company created under the leadership of Kamala Bissessa, recognizing Trinidad and Tobago's unique leadership in pepper production at a time where globally our pepper was recognized as one of the hottest, flavorful peppers on the planet. This Minister of Agriculture closed down Caroni Green, saying it and making a profit. Of course, when you plant a seed, you don't expect a mango tree to bear when you now plant it. It had to wait some years. This Minister of Agriculture was a complete and utter failure. And of course, when you want to talk about diversification, go down the highway and look at the sports complex built by Kamala Bissessa. That caused the hotels in South Trinidad to be running at full capacity before COVID, full capacity in the off-season. Normally a hotel runs from Christmas to Carnival, the cold weather, winter, and then they run empty for the rest of the year. That is when they beg we Trini to come and take a buffet for cheap. They were running at full capacity throughout the year because of the money that Kamala Bissessa spent for the aquatic center and that sports city that she was building in Cuba. Then you had Cuba Hospital, Point Fortin Hospital. Even Kit Rowley's constituency got a souped-up health facility. Tobago, after all the bacchanal, with the gravel and stone rolling to land it, and we know which PNM Prime Minister is connected to land it. After the corruption in Tobago, we, under the leadership of Kamala Bissessa, to finish the hospital for the people of Tobago. And of course, you have a Rima Hospital. This government, after 7 years, can't even build a block, you know, in the Port of Spain Hospital. They can't even build a block. And that and all that corruption, scandal, the Minister of Health, his family member, implicated in that as some kind of consultant. And he says, it's not me, it's my family. But you are the minister. How the hell your family get involved in that? And up to now you can't build a single block? Of course, failure once more. Now, but the businesses in this country need to speak out. Because now that the IMF last week presented that 5.2% of our GDP, $7.5 billion, is owed in VAT refunds. Why are we not hearing the Energy Chamber making noise? Why the Energy Chamber finds it fit to defend Eugene Tia when he is conflicted based on his interest, lawyer-client interest with Kwamina and Stuart Young from his history? Why they couldn't come out in light of this IMF report since last week, 7 days now, the 10th of March, $7.5 billion owed to businesses and VAT refunds. A large part of that are to companies involved in the energy sector. Why is the Energy Chamber silent? It is because they are dependent on the government for their bread and butter. That is why they could find it necessary to criticize Kamala Bissessa when she called out Eugene Tia for his conflict of interest on the death of 4 divers. 4 of our citizens died. And Eugene Tia can't even recognize he is conflicted. And the deceitful Energy Chamber can't even recognize fair and fair. Right is right. Justice is justice. People have died. Recognize conflicts of interest, but no. And the government owing you $7.5 billion. Where is the TT Chamber? Where is Doma? Gregory Abood? Where are the business community members? This government owes you $7.5 billion in VAT funds. You should be dragging them over the coals. Not talking about Kamala who's calling out a conflict of interest. Of course, this government has continued to look for excuse upon excuse. If it's not Kamala, it's COVID. Now it's Ukraine. Now just to put things into perspective, we trade with Europe in terms of imports, $2 billion US. In terms of exports, $900 million US, almost $6 billion TT dollars. 6 billion TT is 6,000 million. And of that figure, of that $6,000 million that we export, less than 1 million is exported to Russia, and that is alcohol. All right? So we don't export much to Russia. What we import from them is some iron ore, and it's still very insignificant. All right? In terms of our total exports, it's about half of 1%. Total imports, sorry. Half of 1%. So we don't really trade with Russia directly. And with Ukraine, we trade more with Antigua and Grenada than we trade with Ukraine. So the only thing that this government could hold on to is the increase in the prices of wheat, oil, and gas. Now, yes, the price of oil has gone up. I am 38 years old, born 1983. Since I born in this country, when the price of oil go up, your uncle will spend money. Your auntie does buy gift. Your father does spend money because they know a pay rise coming. Because since Eric Williams, once the price of oil go up, money, no problem. Manning, price of oil go up, money, no problem. Robinson, price of oil go up, money, no problem. Pandey, the price of oil go up, money, no problem. Kamala, price of oil goes up, money, no problem. Even Chambers, who they say was Duncy. If the price of oil go up with him, money, no problem. How come under Keith Rowley, the price of oil go up, and all of a sudden is a problem, and we have to pay for this higher price at the pump? Now the political leader explained to you that if the big van man, you know that the song Kenneth Salik, he get one again. So the big van man take the girl this time. The big van man had to pay $1,500 now to fully tank. If you fill it once a week for the month. 4 times a month. So before is right now we paying $800 a month, $200 every time we fully tank, now we paying $1,500. The 80 wagon man I get left out, because I cannot tell, he driving 80 wagon. He paying $200 to fully tank, now we're going to pay $300. So in a month, if you full the tank every Friday, you spend $800 with your 80 wagon, now you're going to be spending $1,200. Now, where all these 80 wagon and wetman drivers going to find that money? So now they're going to have to decide when the month end come and the fortnight come and the weekly pay come, if to buy gas to go to work or to buy rice, flour and sugar to feed the family. Now you tell me, when we used to own from the oil well to the gas station pump and every damn thing in between, we didn't have to worry when the price of oil go up. In fact, we pay the same price at the pump and the government saving money in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. This government has taken out $16 billion from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. Under Kamala the fund grew by $16 billion. This Keith Rowley government raided $16 billion from that same fund. Now, I want to close on this. The Minister of Agriculture, when he was leaving, he said Roxo. But for 7 years, the Keith Rowley government tell me, rock so. This Rowley team, when families struggling to pay this extra money for gas at the pump, that come like this government telling them, rock so. When parents struggling to find money to provide for the children, this P&M government telling them what? Rock so. When you have to go and face the maxi taxi driver who going to increase the fares, this is the P&M under Rowley telling you to rock so. Well, I know. I want to do like people in Tobago. I want to tell the P&M under Rowley to rock so. So let them call an election so we could let him rock so. Good night.
What I tell all you? What I tell all you? A master class. A master class. Tell me how they didn't learn something. Tell me how they didn't understand what's going on with this economy now. I love to listen to my friend Taka Obika. Almost as much as I like to listen to Councillor Sima. Councillor Sima represents the people of Valsay and St. Joseph every week in the Tunapuna-Piako Regional Corporation in a way that nobody else ever has. I have seen Councillor Sima walking waist high through water in Bamboo, trying to help people. And tonight, we're going to sit and listen to the problems that she goes through as a councillor. And I want to tell you all, I think a councillor, I'm not a councillor, I'm an alderman. There's a difference. A councillor represent individual people in districts throughout Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to tell you all that there's no job, I think, in Trinidad and Tobago that is harder than being a councillor. Because no matter what you do, people will say you ain't doing nothing. They will say they don't see you. I have had a conversation when a man called a councillor, and the councillor couldn't answer the phone because I think their father or their mother, their parents, one of them was in the hospital and they were dealing with it. I went to check and see if I could help. They handed me the phone and there was a gentleman on the phone saying that his suspect needed cleaning. I said, no problem, sir. But the councillor can't talk to you this minute. I am the alderman, I see what I can do. But the councillor can't talk to you this minute because her parent is in the hospital having an emergency. Person was in casualty. And the man turned and tell me, well, they done in the casualty already, but I need my suspect clean now. So tell her to forget that and come and talk to me. I cannot explain how hard being a councillor is. I hope Sima might be able to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, Councillor Sima Ramsan Augustine.
Honorable political leader, members of the head table, our Member of Parliament for St. Augustine, the Honorable Khadija Amin, Member of Parliament for Barataria Sanwan, the Honorable Saddam Hussein, my fellow councillors and aldermen, and you, my UNC family, a pleasant good night. Tonight, I first want to bring greetings to you from the District of Valsay and St. Joseph. And then I want to shed some light on the issues we face as councillors on a daily basis. Now, when Alderman Kevin Gibbs said he saw me in wayside water, that was the furthest I could have gone because I can't swim. So I really couldn't take a chance to go further. I will not be long tonight. I will get straight to the point. As a councillor, as the councillor for Valton St. Joseph, I should say, I have been working vigorously to try to alleviate issues within the district. Some of these main issues are repairing the roads within the district and trying to alleviate flooding. But unfortunately, councillors face a lot of challenges, mainly the lack of resources to fulfill our roles as councillors. Do you all remember when the People's Partnership was in government between the year 2010 to 2015? The then PNM opposition called us the box train government. How I wish for that government now. The PNM doesn't know anything about building. They only know how to rent from their friends. But unfortunately for us, we cannot rent box trains. If as councillors, we get the resources we need, we can do so much improvements in different communities within our districts. There is so much work that needs to be done. Repairs of deteriorating roads, construction of much needed box drains, repairs of deteriorating existing drains. And not just repairs, but the cleaning of these drains is also a problem. The districts within the region of Tunapuna-Piarco are so big that one team could never maintain the drains the way it needs to be maintained in communities within a district. The district of Valton St. Joseph alone has over 10 different communities that makes up this district. And then there are the bigger drains that needs equipment to be cleaned. And that, my friends, is yet another challenge. Not only me, but every other councillor face on a regular basis. Tonight I want to call upon the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Minister of Finance, and definitely our new Minister of Rural Development and Local Government. I am pleading with you tonight on behalf of myself, my councillor colleagues, the burgesses of Tunapuna-Piarco region, and all the other regions in the country. We need our resources to carry out our roles as councillors. We need materials to repair our deteriorating roads. We need material to repair the existing deteriorating drains. We need the rent for our offices to be paid on time. We need our incidental paid on time so councillors can operate their offices. I stand here tonight and beg of you, give us the resources we need. We need to do our jobs. We want to do our jobs. We go out there every day and we struggle and we beg. Sometimes we go to communities, the residents would help us. They would purchase materials to help fix their community. We would beg businessmen to buy materials. We always begging, begging, begging. Tonight, Prime Minister, we come to beg you. It's your responsibility to see about the residents, the citizens of this country. I'm hoping that our new Minister of Rural Development and Local Government might perform better in this capacity. I pray and I hope. So tonight, my friends, I leave you with this. Once again, I'm begging on behalf of my colleagues, help us. Please, Minister, help us. Help us to make our burgesses' life a little bit more comfortable. Help us to do our job. We need our resources. We need our tools. And we always begging for it. Long live Kamala Persad-Bissessor. Long live the UNC. Thank you.
Letting you all know the challenges councillors face in the Tunapuna-Piarco Regional Corporation, and I'm sure almost every corporation in Trinidad and Tobago, because of funding and release and finance, and telling you how difficult a councillor's life is. And I want to also echo those sentiments, Seema and Councillor, for bringing that to the attention of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Let me take this opportunity, since I am not on the St. Augustine side, but I'm really a councillor on the Cora Paradise, Tacarigua area, to say hello, good night to the Burgesses of Cora Paradise, Tacarigua. As I continue also to represent you with little or no resources, we continue to bring to your attention the very many problems that face you all on a daily basis. And our leader has continued every single Monday night with her team to tell you on what's happening with WASA, what's happening with TSCT, what's happening with all these state enterprises that this government is laying her hands on. Very, very challenging times. And she has continued to bring to your attention every single Monday night. UNC senators, UNC MPs, and our leader has brought you up to date. And that is why we are saying to you, and the leader said it on Monday, it is time to unify. It is time to get together. And she made an open call to every single one of you who believe that this government has to be removed. Come back home. You remember how it was on Monday night? Come back home. Because in unity we have strength. In unity we have purpose. And so tonight we want to tell you all, it is time for the Keith Rowley administration to get lost. We have had enough. We have had enough. And there has been a young lady working in the Tunapuna-Piarco Regional Corporation. She served as councillor between the years 2010 to 2013. I worked with her between 2010 to 2013. Presently, she's an alderman in the Tunapuna-Piarco Regional Corporation. She is very, very vociferous. She may be small, but my God, her mouth is really big. She talks strong, vibrant, and she brings to the attention of people the plight of women and of young people throughout Trinidad and Tobago. She makes no bones of the way she speaks. She's fearless. She's also a spiritual leader. Put your hands together as we welcome to the podium none other than the vociferous, the vibrant, alderman of the Piarco Regional Corporation.
To the Honorable Political Leader, Kamala Bisessa, MP Khadija Amin, MP Saddam, Natex, my colleagues at the Tunapuna-Piarco Regional Corporation, my distinguished UNC family, platform, the various social media, Trinidad and Tobago, a pleasant good night. You know, my job tonight, and I listen to all these fearless speakers before me, my job tonight is about women. I have a big problem, and my problem is the PNM. And I want to talk a little bit about a caring woman. Tonight I want to talk to you, the people, about a caring woman who was the Prime Minister from 2010 to 2015, a Prime Minister who had a vision and still do. Give out 100,000 laptops to students, built 83 new schools, settled 83 wages negotiations, increased water supply from 20% to 75%, brought employment rate down to 3%, and increased the minimum wage to 60%. And in case you're closing your door, your fridge door, and you ain't hearing me clearly, the Children Life Fund, the children hospital, the baby grants for mothers, and I will stop writing. The baby grants for mothers, single mothers, a woman with care, with her heart, and we too, the women in the UNC. But the women in the PLM, where are they? Sitting in the luxurious cars, in the nice offices. You have to make an appointment to see them. And when you go to see them, you have to tell the secretary all your business before you can get to see the minister. But I want to call on all single mothers tonight. This platform is for you. Come and join us. Let us hold hands together and get rid of this taxing, lying, thieving government under Kit Rowley. Remember in 2015, Kit Rowley told the country to wean off the government. Remember that? And while the citizens had no other choice but to wean off, the ministers was weaning on the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Everything is taxed. When last you go in the supermarket, I just be there frequent. You ever meet women picking up things and putting it back down? Because the money's small in the pocket. And you know, I want to say something tonight. All women of TNT, whether you have or you don't have, because some of us women feel when we have, we feel we get through. And we forget the women who is our sisters, our mothers, our cousins. We forget these people in our community fighting to survive. Single mothers, a CPAP job, a URP job, when we thank God for it, yes, but that money can't do nothing. Gas going up again and we ain't riot yet. When will the people of TNT rise up? All nice things Kamala Bissessa did to this country, with the unions, where women trap, where them NGOs, where all you go vexing me tonight, where all them Christian pastors and leaders who was on platform pulling down the people partnership government, where them everybody get quiet. You know why? Filthy lucre. You know what's the meaning of filthy lucre? Money. Everybody lost their tongue. Pulling mannequin all through the streets while a woman give us all these goodies because she had a care for the country. I don't have long to talk tonight, you know. I have a passion. My passion is I want to see Rowley go. Rowley must go, people. If we make another term with Keith, Christopher, Maduro, Putin, Rowley, you hear how much they have call this man? Time for us to wake up. You know, I was writing, I can't write and come and talk in no meeting, you know. You see, I live in it. When you're living in the ghetto don't have to be in you, but you know what's going on with your neighbors. How much time we go get hampers? Supermarkets are all crying. You know why everything going up? And I listen to a program whether it was coming down in my taxi. And I hearing these people pulling down and saying, why them UNC and them woman and them, and they blaming Keith Rowley. And yes, Keith Rowley said the buck stopped with him. He's the head of the cabinet. When Kamala was the prime minister, she used to walk fares gone up. When gas gone up here again and taxi fares gone up, what's going on with the food price again? Well, and hear what? I just go all about and talk to people. Most of the business people complaining about the taxes and the freight. So if the freight price gone up, eventually we have to feel the pain. But everything going up except our salaries. We still living on 2013 salary. And from 2015 to now, it's only raise the prices. Sometimes when you get your salary, you don't know what to do. You have to go and sit down with a pen and a paper and start. And right now, sometimes you don't make a budget and you have to go back and cut it. The reality I talking people, all women, all of us women, we know about that. You have to cut it. Now school going and open back. What going on with these children? Single parents, Kit Rowley. Don't close no fridge door tonight. We want you to listen to me. You can't run the country. Call election now. Call the election now. Manning won this country about a raging man. Only ever listen to what a man to speak to a woman. I can imagine how he just buffed them women in cabinet. And that to stay quiet. We coming for you, no kid. Time for you to go. Rowley must go. Have a good night, people. Trinidad and Tobago.
Let's hear it for all of our Diane Bishop. The passion of someone who feels the pulse of this nation. And she has been speaking the length and breadth of this country about the failures of the PNM government. You know, I remember when we were in office 2010, 2015 under Kamala predecessor, the then political leader introduced in Parliament and to this country a ministry of the people. You remember that? Yeah. A ministry of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. When you get elected by the people and you create a ministry of the people, that tells you something. That tells you that your leader cares about the people. You know what one of the first thing that Rowley did? Mash up that ministry. Close down that ministry. And I am promising you that not if, when Kamala predecessor and the UNC returns to power, the ministry of the people, which affected the lives and the livelihoods of the citizens of this country, will return. Too much suffering under this government, too much pain on this government. And Diane Bishop, Alderman Diane Bishop, you are so correct. To all the MPs who continue to tell the population every day, thank you so much. To all our councillors, thank you so much. To our political leader, thank you so much every single day for reaching to the heart of our people and also suffering with them. Because we have to suffer with you to understand the plight of your plight each and every day in this country. It's very, very difficult. I want to introduce to you a lady who is filled with so much qualifications. You know, her bio is so long and so very difficult because she is very, very qualified. I want to introduce Mrs. Kamalawati Ramsubik. She was born in Guyana and was married to deceased Justice George Ramsubik in 1972. She's a mother of 4 and a grandmother of 7. She was a teacher at San Fernando Secondary then Tunapuna Secondary, and Swa A-Level College. She studied at the University of Guyana and Lakehead University, Canada, and earned her DPed at UWI, having done performance as a university elective in Canada. Mrs. Ramsubik continued to be involved in the field in National Ramlila Council, where she holds a position as a president. She leads the Ramlila artists to perform in Guyana, India, and venues throughout Trinidad and Tobago. She's also conducted lectures every single year on Ramlila and the creative arts, and now putting in a book the history about 30 Ramlila groups in Trinidad and Tobago, to bring you some very thoughtful insight into the education system and other thoughts. Put your hand together for none other than Mrs. Kamala.
So I say good evening, sisters and brothers, and Sitaram. And I have a similar name to Kamala, but mine is Kamalwati, and Kamal, as you all may know, it means flower. Kamal ke pool. I must have been born like Kamala in the Navratri period, so my father named me Kamala, but I am proud of the name more so because of Kamala. I came here today, I must recognize all of you wonderful speakers. Sorry I can't speak like you, I haven't been a politician, but I will speak nevertheless. Khadija went to school with my daughter-in-law, who always speak highly about her. She reminded me that Khadija has been the way she is, very active, very outspoken, never take any wrong thing from anyone without speaking out. And I myself, living in St. Augustine, I've known her a long time. I'm really very proud of her and the work she's doing. And another one, County Councillor Richard, he's coming up sharply too. He worked with us in our first international Ramlila conference. Give yourself an applause. And Trinidad did that, the first international Ramlila conference in 2013. And UWI, under Mr. Gibbon and all those other people, from Creative Arts, where I still do a lecture in Ramlila every year. They assisted us, they co-hosted that conference, and we had people from all over the world, as far as India, Fiji, Suriname, all over, so we bonded with a lot of people. And I can tell you, Trinidad is the most, you can give yourself an applause to, is the most prolific in Ramlila, even more than India, because we went to India to do some of it too, and Guyana is the most prolific. So this is a beautiful country. I love this country. Guyana is huge, and it always amazes me when I go back, not too often, the size of this country that has so much potential and so many brilliant and vibrant people, especially women, like Honorable Kamala Persad Bisasa. We do have some such women in Guyana, but I don't think, and I can tell you that none of them can measure up, even though I'm born a Guyanese, can measure up to your leader,
Kamala Persad-Bissessar. She's an amazing woman, an amazing woman. Some of the speakers spoke on these things already, so I'm not going to repeat. I was asked to do something on GATE. I do not know much about it because my children study in Canada, so did I. And also on the laptop situation, okay? And as someone just told you, the person who started, and that is why she's so amazing, is Kamala Bissessar herself. She started the laptop, children having laptop. So it tells you that she is a woman of not hindsight alone, but foresight. That is God-given. That is like the young man in India who told them that COVID was coming because of reading astrology, and they did not believe him. A young man from India. Kamala knew what was coming, and she started when she was Prime Minister to prepare the schools and this country for laptop. And I have some figures here. As I said, I'm not going to go through what other people have said. And while she was there, she got assistance from businesses who she asked to adopt a school. And you see how she was smart? Like most of us, we don't have to have a lot of money to get things done. You can be creative, and that was her creativity. She wants to do something. The coffers in the government didn't have all the money, so she got people to adopt a school and to give laptops to all the children, primary school children, and from Form 1 going up, I think, up to Form 3. That was during her period of tenureship. So this was an amazing move, because right now you all know that the technology, it's on the go. Even the older people like ourselves, we're using laptop now. So she was preparing a society who had to have the skills, starting with the little children who could have gone home, and I have seen it myself. There is a lady in my village there in Duquesne Street who sews, and her daughter has a laptop, her young daughter, and she looks for all the styles from the laptop. So it's the laptop is not only for the children, it's for everyone in the home. You spend a little bit of money, but look how much use you can get out of it. The adults who didn't know about laptop, the children can teach them. So Kamala had foresight, and she started from Form 1. One of my colleagues said, I didn't like what she did, you know. She should have given it to Form 4 and 5, because I'm a history teacher, and they could have done their research. But look what the little children did. They used it, and they went right up to Form 5 with the laptops. But they start learning very early. That is the right time to learn. And they also teach their parents. And that is what you call good foresight and good educational thinking about children. I think she herself has children or child and grandchildren. So she was thinking the right way. And what did she do? I have some figures here. 83 million was spent. I'm sure she got money from all over, people assisted. It didn't have to be government money. And at that time, initially, she provided 20,300 laptops. And the laptop issue continues in the school. It went on after she left. So we still have it going on. But what is going on now in the system, they make it, Mrs. Bissessar, give everybody. There was no means test. as you call it, a means test. And if they think you're lying, they say they will come home with their policemen and so on to see if you're telling the truth, right? So you have to have a certain amount of income and many other things, all your private business they want to see. They want to see all your papers and what they're saying. If you're lying, then the cabinet will have to deal, like if more than one child has to get it, why do you have to go to cabinet? If you are experts in these things, why do you have to go to do what? To penalize people? So there's a lot of red tape now, you know, which wasn't so in Mrs. DeSessa's time. To get a laptop, a means test, people have to get recommendation, they have to tell them where you're working. We have a girl working with us, she have twins. We had to fill something with her at her form, we had to recommend her, we had to say how much she's working for, and that is how she got her laptop. So when you are a leader, why are you punishing people more than what they're suffering? A lot of these people who are looking for things, it means they're in need. If you have money, you wouldn't go and look for a laptop or books or anything else. And these are the people you should accommodate, and you should deal with them as Mrs. Bisessa does. Not penalize them, not feeling that they're lying and they're criminals and things like that. And I admire her for that. Also the GATE program, it's also now, it's a means test. And this is the one they said, if 2 children in a home, they're applying for GATE, then the cabinet has to deal with that. What nonsense is that? Can't you deal with it yourself? You have a body dealing with these things. And I think a lot of people spoke on the GATE, and it's the same thing you have to go through a lot of rigmarole to get these benefits. Sometimes you get fed up, the children get fed up, and they just give it up. But I say thank you for you all for allowing me to speak. I'm very passionate about education. I still do social work. I was president of the village council. My husband, a good patriot, he allowed me whilst he took care of the 4 children and the cooking and so on. And I still continue, even though I'm an elder now, I still continue to do these types of work, which I love to do. I also like to work with people. Thank you very much, and sit around.
Take a moment to say thank you. She has served the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Our next speaker is the councillor for the electoral district of St. Augustine, South, Piarco, St. Helena. And in case you all didn't know, you are in St. Augustine, Piarco, St. Augustine South, Piarco, St. Helena. Councillor Richard Rampersad came to us in 2019 as a councillor. And from day one, was shocking me. I had to look around to make sure who was talking. He was talking like a seasoned councillor that knew exactly what he wanted to get done and at the time he needed to get it done in. But quickly I understood he was trying to fill the shoes of a former councillor of this area, your MP, Khadija Amin. Tough shoes to fill, but I want to tell you all, he has been filling them well. Welcome, Councillor Richard Rampersad.
Ooh, you for that very warm welcome, Alderman Gibbs. Interesting choice of music to bring me up here. You know, it's always a humbling experience to stand before you, to stand in front of so many of the faces I recognize. Many of you are burgesses in my electoral district. So a warm welcome to you. Honorable Political Leader, Mrs. Kamala Bissessa, Member of Parliament for St. Augustine, Ms. Khadija Amin, Member of Parliament for Paria, San Juan, Mr. Saddam Hussein, Senators, members of the NATEX team, councillors, aldermen, you, the viewing and listening audience in our social media platforms, pleasant good night. I stand with you, my electoral district of St. Augustine, South Piaco, St. Helena, to expose this government and its cavalier attitude to the problems that plague our constituency. The PNM is deaf to our pleas for development. Now, my presentation, I wish to cover and focus on three major areas. I want to look at, firstly, that gaping sinkhole that you had to traverse to make your way here if you're coming from the west. I want to also speak on the collapsing retention wall at the Barcy Bridge in Spring Village. And finally, one very pressing issue is land regularization and land tenure. Our calls, complaints, and appeals continue to go unheard. It is evident that this government has no innate sense of social or ethical responsibility for us. Under this callous and inept, incompetent regime, public services and attention to infrastructural matters appear to be irrelevant and deteriorating for years. It is undeniable that under the People's Partnership government, bridges were being constructed more often than what we see now. And I can go on with an entire list to itemize specific examples of this. We have had the St. Helena Delta Bridge. We have had bridges in other communities along the East-West Corridor in Port of Spain. We have had the construction of the interchange on the highway, the Churchill-Roosevelt Highway, the Uriah-Butler Highway, and etc., etc. On the other hand, there are 3 bridges within the St. Augustine faction of my electoral district that is on the verge of collapsing. And for years, it has been 2 years, I've been making clarion calls to the minister in the ministry to treat with this, but to no avail. You know, the anthem of this government is no material and no funding. And it's unfortunate that we continue to pay taxes, and yet still we cannot benefit from what we pay. So I, with open eyes and open arms, I welcome to hear what it is they plan to do when the local government reform is implemented. With reference to the Dry River Bridge located off Orange Grove, and that's a few feet west of us, there's an extensive sinkhole, and this bridge is basically a calamity waiting to happen. Now, the scale and magnitude of that sinkhole is equivalent to the width of a car. The depth is perhaps 20 feet or more. Additionally, the retention wall which supports the Blackman Ravine in Spring Village is on the verge of collapse. By the same token, it has been approximately 2 years that we have been calling the Ministry of Works and Transport to treat with this. Due to the erosion of these bridges, there has been a multitude of drainage issues which usually result in massive flooding in this area. And you all would know we are situated in close proximity to the Carney floodplains. So the geography of the land will tell you, with rain and lack of proper infrastructure, what we can be confronted with. I want to highlight now the urgent need to regularize certain spotting land, as well as land title documents within key areas of my electoral district. There are specific areas such as Benny Lane, Train Line, St. Augustine South, Sheldon Trace in Piaco, which I'm pleased to report I was able to get some paving work done in approximately 150 feet for the residents in that community. So we have Train Line, we have Sheldon Trace, we have persons in Orokun, we have persons in Carley Estate, which is higher up east, who are still awaiting some type of land tenure document so that they can say they own something. So when they wish to take a loan, the process would be easier for them. Generation after generation, persons are occupying this land, and they really have nothing to say that it belongs to them. So tonight I'm making a call for the LSA Ministry of Agriculture and the other state agencies responsible to intervene and let us assist these residents. So I would have identified some of the areas in St. Augustine South where persons are living for decades, and it's a lot of anxiety that they have to treat with, knowing any day anything can happen. Our farmers in the Golden Grove Orange Grove estate higher, they themselves are grappling with this dilemma. So I call on the government to revise and restore quality sustenance where land, title documents, and compensation is concerned. How can we expect food security in Trinidad and Tobago when Orange Grove farmers are not regularized? How many times must these farmers picket the ministry warning that food prices can increase if they are not regularized? These farmers are facing many adversities. It goes without saying that no assistance is being offered to these farmers. This incident once again portrays the dictatorial sense that this government has towards its people. With reference to the compensation owed towards certain citizens, let it be known that the residents from Orokun Gardens, who are now relocated in Piako in the year 2020 to accommodate the construction of the Piako International Airport, has still yet to be provided with deeds for their land. Imagine after so many years, these persons still doesn't hold deeds for their land. And talking about Orokun, I asked the Minister of Housing, well, the ex-minister, MP Beckles. We have a new minister, Camille Robinson-Regis. Well, I really don't know who is the better one out of the two. But I asked her, what is the issue with Orokun Gardens? Why so many neglect? What is it? Because you have the Orokun Boulevard, which falls under the jurisdiction of the HDC. And we have been making continuous calls for the HDC to treat with the patching of that. Well, we had to take it via the corporation and get the work done because that Orokun Boulevard was the main thoroughfare in and out, or the only rather, for that community. So I really want to know what is the issue, what problem, or what grievance does the Minister of Housing have with Orokun Gardens? Why she continue to neglect this community? The buildings are deteriorating. The windows, the metallic windows are completely rusted. The gutterings are leaking. The car park, there's no lighting in the car park. And I can go on and on with the list. There's also an irregular water supply and a lot of the pumps not working. The pumps in the retention ponds need servicing. Finally, we have the overgrown bush in this community. In Orokun Gardens, we have some buildings as tall as 2-story buildings, and would you believe the grass reaches that monumental scale of almost 2 stories in height. Obviously, when you have that, you have certain elements could thrive. So today I'm making a call again. Please let us treat with that. We have to remember that the UNC has always been willing to assist the country in any pressing matter that we may have. Our track record that has shown that we have been able to utilize our country's human and natural resources for the betterment. We stand willing and ready to deliver our manifesto commitment to the people, as we know these systems are necessary for the sustainability of our country and our citizens. We believe every problem has a solution, and we pledge to stand with you to be part of the solution. Tonight I urge all of you, we must unite. Our political leader has continued to make calls for us to unite and come together. I was listening to an interview with her yesterday evening, and she reminded the country that if election was called in the morning or tomorrow, we are ready. And we have to prove to her that what she's saying is in fact right, and we have to show our colleagues, our peers, our co-workers that we are ready. So I call on every one of you here to remember that our party, the Great United National Congress, definitely offers a better program than our opponents. We are a party that has a proven track record of performance and progress, and evidence of this is throughout the country, the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago. We continue to work for you, we continue to work with you. As a councillor attached to the Tunapuna Piako Regional Corporation, Today I pledge to continue my mandate, my obligation, my oath to provide service, be at your service, along with my fellow colleague councillors with me here tonight. So I thank you for joining us. I thank you for sticking with our great party, and I encourage you to stay safe and have a good night all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Richard Rampersad. And thank you to all our speakers. They did a great job. Let's give them a round of applause. Now, one thing you said, Councillor Rampersad, is that we need to be ready. Are we ready in the UNC to take this country back? Yes, we are ready. We are ready in the UNC. We have always been ready. Now, and I also want to give a special mention to Mr. Zambo here. This is your first time on a platform? Very good, very good. Congratulations. Right. So, we have many MPs, well, councillors I should say. We do have some MPs, but the councillors and aldermen here, you are all now going to be working with a new Minister of Local Government. And this demotion he got, he can pretend all he wants, but this is a demotion that he got. Of course it is. And this didn't just come by accident. This came because of our hard work led by the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar. Remember from last year, actually I just saw a newspaper clipping from 2015, front page of the Express, saying Faris must go by Kamala Persad-Bissessar. But from last year we started it up again. Faris must go. Faris must go. Every week at the Monday night virtual forum, at our press releases, people were telling us, why are you saying that? He's not going to go. Exactly. But they're telling us, why are you saying that? That's not going to happen. Why? Just be quiet now. But what happened now? Faris is gone. And it's not only that work on the platforms led by the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar, it's also the work on the ground from you activists, and your MP, Khadija Amin, is very, very instrumental in that. I see the People's Revolution activities you all do. In the road, protesting the bridges, the protesting against the high food prices, all sorts of things. And we chronicle it in our party newspaper, the checklist. So all the work you all do, this has been bringing down the government. Because can we wait until 2025? No. Not at all. You see, and we have the power. Because we brought down Faris, you know. It is we who brought down Faris. So who is next? Rowley. Right. Rowley. And we in the party are led by a great fighter, a great woman fighter. And you in St. Augustine are led by another great woman fighter. And I want to give you a story. Some of you may have heard this before, but don't mind, I'll say it again. It's almost 20 years now, 2003, when the crime started to go up in this country, when kidnapping started to go up. And in Chaguanas, there was a protest. I was part of the protest. I was one of the people arrested and taken into the police station. And we didn't know what would happen. It was a very tense atmosphere. And while we're waiting, trying to figure out what are they going to do with us, and I'm looking at the prison cell, how dirty it is, and all these things, and what the police officers were going to do. first person I remember who came in was a young Khadija Amin with a deed and her bag ready to bail us out. She was just a teenager then, I think. 19 years old. Fighting since then for me at that time and for the party. And 20 years later, here in 2022, she is still fighting for all of us. Now, let me give you a little bit of that history over this 20 years. Ms. Khadija Amin is currently the Member of Parliament for St. Augustine in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and the Vice Chairman of the United National Congress. Ms. Amin came into public life through her work in communities, being elected as a local government councillor for St. Augustine South, where she served for 10 years. She became the youngest person to be elected to head a municipality in the history of Trinidad and Tobago at the age of 28. She went on to serve as an advisor to the Minister of Local Government before being appointed to the Senate. Khadija comes from very humble beginnings. Growing up without electricity or pipe-borne water did not stop her from achieving 9 O-levels and going on to complete A-levels. As her family could not afford to send her to university after school, Khadija followed her passion of working to improve the lives of others, serving as a councillor while working a regular job and studying part-time at the University of the West Indies. In 2015, she graduated with a Master's of Business Administration, specializing in leadership and entrepreneurship, with a distinction in her dissertation. She is the mother of one, a saxophonist, I believe, who believes education is the key to empowerment, overcoming poverty and a better quality of life, and as such has been involved in a number of initiatives geared towards empowering young people and women. These include being a mentor at YTC in Trinidad and Tobago in 2012, and being a member of the Trinidad and Tobago's delegation to the United Nations Women Conference in New York in 2015. So with that, I want us all to give a warm round of applause to welcome your MP, MP Khadija Amin.
Mehu, our PRO of the party, I want to begin first of all tonight by saying to my UNC family in person, it is so good to see you in flesh. We in St. Augustine, before the pandemic, we had so many events, so many activities. During the pandemic, we reached out to many, and that was the time we see each other when we were doing relief exercises. And today is our first physical meeting, but we are also streaming online. And I took this opportunity to invite my brother Saddam Hussein from Barataria, San Juan. Give him a round of applause. And I was also so pleased to have former Senator Tahaka Obika, very strong and vibrant. I want to acknowledge Kevin Gibbs and Councillor Praki. Well, you know, Praki don't have a UNC MP, so we adopt him a little bit on the side, a little bit. But give them a round of applause for a job well done tonight. and Alderman Smalley. But I especially want to commend our councillors, Jalen, Seema, and Richard. Just stand where you are and give them a round of applause, please. These are our 3 UNC councillors in St. Augustine, and we thank them for their dedication. But we also had tonight a feature which I think was important, which was our young people. I always remember the first time I went on a UNC platform. I was very young. I wrote my speech. I practiced it in the mirror. And when I went up there and I saw the crowd, I did the first paragraph. I skipped the rest. I read the last paragraph and I came up. And I tell young people that because it is my intention, just as others would have given me the opportunity even to introduce a speaker, even to say a vote of thanks. In the UNC, our leader has been a mentor to us. And so, tonight we had young persons, Nicholas introducing the national anthem and the prayer. The national anthem being done by Jeremiah on the saxophone. The young Pandit Mayank Ramguli. All of these were young people. And we had Zambo. Give Zambo a round of applause, first time on a political platform. And later on you will hear from Amelia, who is also the daughter of one of our activists and supporters, Mr. Balraj from Bamboo. So I want to see more young people on the platform and more young people getting involved in politics for us to make a difference and to ensure that Rowley must go. I want to also acknowledge a man all the way from Tobago. Do you know that the National Executive, Tobago Regional Rep, is here today, Mr. Bimal Ramlogan. Give him a round of applause. We also have with us Mr. Peter Kanhai, the most hard-working, dedicated man, whether he is General Secretary, whether he has a title or no title, his dedication over the decades to this party is unsurpassed. We also have Councillor Samuel Sanka and a former councillor, a lady who has remained a friend of St. Augustine, former Councillor Rosanna Sukdeo. Give her a round of applause. I want to, yeah, look, Rosie there. Rosie, it's so nice to have you. And I want to acknowledge another lady, Mrs. Pamela Mahabir, our host tonight, for always accommodating us here at this venue. Give her a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, I am still in disbelief. I am wondering what local government did to deserve Faris Alwari to be appointed as Minister of Local Government. If you have nowhere to put him, send him home. I think he is collecting enough rent. He could go home and relax himself and stop forcing his incompetence on this country. You know, when the UNC was calling for pepper spray for women and tasers to protect themselves, when the Minister of Agriculture told us, well, he's our next one, thankfully he has been relieved of his duties. When Clarence Rambarat told us that pepper spray is more dangerous than a gun, I asked Clarence if he will spray himself with pepper spray in one eye and shoot himself in the other eye and come back and tell us which one was more deadly. And all this time that we in the UNC, led by Kamala Persad-Bissessar, were calling for pepper spray legislation, calling for non-lethal weapons for women to protect themselves, All this time when our women and girls were being kidnapped and raped and murdered, what was Faris Alwari doing? Failure after failure after failure. It took him so long to bring the pepper spray legislation to Parliament. And he is beating his chest and calling that and other legislation he passed a success. These are his accomplishments, you know. And the pepper spray legislation is still up to today not a reality. So the man who could come and talk and give you eloquent words, I want to warn you, local government is not about fancy talk. The nice words, the eloquent words will not get you anywhere in local government. The performance you gave as an Attorney General, the list of non-accomplishments you have as Attorney General will not fly in local government. Local government is the arm of government that is closest to people. You see our councillors, we have some councillors from Sandy Grande as well. Hard-working people. You can't get away with fancy talk. Fancy talk don't full pothole. Fancy talk wouldn't fix our bridge that's fallen down for so long that we asked them to deal with. Fancy talk doesn't get your issues in local government addressed. So there will be no honeymoon for you, Mr. Faris Alwari. And I am still begging the Prime Minister. We are so shocked, you know. Because this reshuffle, if you have a pack of jacks and you reshuffle a pack of jacks, what do you end up with? So if you have a pack of jokers, I don't want to say the word, you know, but if you have a pack of jokers and you reshuffle the pack, what are you ending up with? The same jokers. Before this reshuffle, there are so many other persons we have a question about. You move Faris as Attorney General because he is incompetent. I fully applaud you for that. I don't applaud you for putting him in local government. You move Clarence Rambarat as Minister of Agriculture. I applaud that. Clarence was supposed to go long time. He has been failing agriculture, failing food security, failing our farmers for a long time in this country. But there are question marks over other ministers that I want to ask. There are so many allegations about Foster Cummings concerning corruption with land. Why you don't move Foster Cummings? When are you going to move Foster Cummings? Miss Almond Milk. All you remember Almond Milk? Youth and sport and community development in this country is only for a select few. When we had a freak storm in St. Augustine and we were on the field, all of us, getting the information and sending it, begging for self-help to replace people's roofs. Madam was busy in Tobago with a drive-through self-help distribution, giving out grants in Tobago to try to win a THA election. But the people of Tobago were not fooled, and we in Trinidad must be brave and to stand up like they did. So you use the resources, the taxpayers' dollars for political purpose, but people who genuinely in need cannot get a self-help grant. Youth organizations who desperately need it cannot get the support they need. Miss Almond Milk should go. We have a Minister of Social Welfare. Well, listen, man. The amount of people who we meet who are losing their food card, people living on a disability grant of $2,000, and they take away their food card. I want to ask Miss Social Welfare if she could live on $2,000 a month with no food card, no other support. That is what they are forcing our citizens to face. And in St. Augustine, I have so many constituents who are up and down by that office opposite Royal Castle, begging because they do qualify and they are in need, but they are being denied. That Minister of Social Welfare has to go. Do you know, my ladies and gentlemen, that there is also a Minister of Labour? You don't hear about him? How many labor negotiations did this man complete? None. Smally mentioned that is more than 70 labor wage negotiations were completed under Kamala Persad-Bissessar. This man is Minister of Labour. He has not brought us new policy. He has not brought any protection for workers. He has not done a single wage negotiation. And he is sitting there while hundreds and thousands of people are losing their jobs in Trinidad and Tobago. He ever bring anything to create new jobs? Mr. Labour must go. I really can't even remember his name because he don't even talk. And then you have Minister of Dry Pipe and Darkness. The Minister of Public Utilities has been a failure, making excuses for himself from day one. He continues. We in St. Augustine, we get all kind of mobby and thing and we pipe down here, you know. When you get in water, we get in mobby sometimes. St. Joseph, our neighboring constituencies, they also complain to us and they tell us, Minister of Dry Pipes and Darkness, you have not been performing. You have been making so many excuses about WASA, so many excuses about public utilities, and you continue to shove non-performance down our throat. It is time for these people to go. And of course, the biggest joker in the pack. We are in such a state of crisis when it comes to national security. And you leave Fitzgerald Hines there? I want Keith Rowley to have his head examined. What sane person could reshuffle a cabinet and leave Fitzgerald Hines as Minister of National Security? He has to be mad. But then again, it's not the first time he do madness. It's not the first time he do craziness. And then PNM just clap. But many of them are not clapping anymore. And we have to be ready to stand to make a difference. There will be a local government election soon. And all the political discrimination we face. Zambo spoke about the number of CPEP teams and workers in St. Augustine. We don't see a URP gang. The CPEP is for political friends and family. In St. Augustine, there are less than half the number of CPEP teams as in St. Joseph and Tunapuna. And then they call themselves a government. Sambo is right. Kamala Persad-Bissessar never used to discriminate about who is UNC and PNM. We have to stand up against that kind of unfair practice. We have to stand up against political victimization, and we must not be afraid. They blame Kamala. They blame UNC. For 2 years, they blame COVID. I feel they will stretch out the COVID thing a little more. Now, they get a new whipping horse. They're blaming the war on Ukraine. Listen, long before the war on Ukraine, Keith Rowley declared war on the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. You have been treating us like dirt. You have declared war on our women when they are being attacked, when they have to lock themselves up like prisoners in their homes to be safe. You have declared war on our farmers, farmers who have to put up their own money to fix their agriculture access roads, farmers who getting drowned out in the rainy season, and in the dry season, everything dying because of lack of water. Our farmers have been working hard, and they have not had the chance to do what they should do. But because Rowley has declared war on farmers. Rowley has declared war on education. Our children, Mrs. Ramsubik, thank you so much for being here. I remember your late husband, Judge Ramsubik, and I thank you for sharing on what is happening in education. But when our children cannot get laptops when our children are facing cramped conditions like in Curep Presbyterian School, because this government, out of political wickedness, refused to open the schools that were built by the UNC. That is declaring war on education and war on our children. This government has declared war on the underprivileged. When they take away a food card and they tell you go and live on $1,300 a month, when they deny you your pension and you are running up and down for a year, 2 years, when they change the requirements every other week and send you back, and you can't even buy a little medication for yourself, the government has declared war on the underprivileged. And today I tell you, with this reshuffle, you know that local government is my heart. I spent 10 years as a councillor, 3 years as a chairman of a regional corporation. Yes, chairman. I worked as an advisor to the Minister of Local Government when we were in office. And today, the appointment of Faris Alwari as Minister of Local Government, you, Keith Rowley, have declared war on local government. You have told us that you don't care about local government. I know the PNM never placed much importance on local government, because the only time they ever do anything for local government is when it's close to an election, just to win some votes. And I will tell you, they plan to bring some legislation. I'm telling you from now is Mama Guy, right? And I'll give you 2 examples. They want to bring legislation to make Diego Martin Corporation and Paria Corporation into boroughs. But all they are going to do is change the name. So now that they are named a borough, it's not as though they're getting more money. It's not as though they're getting more resources. It's not as though they're getting a better building. It's not as though they're getting more workers. It's not as though they're getting more equipment to clean their drains and cesspits and so on. They are not getting extra truck and backhoe and excavator and so on. They're not getting that. They're not getting nothing. All they're getting is a name change. But our regional corporations are not political footballs. The naming of a corporation, transferring into a borough, is a serious thing. It is not just a name change. A change in status means a change in the development objective. That is what a borough is. You must have a plan to develop and service the area in a certain way. Why are they not making Tunapuna Piako a borough? We have councillors here, and I'm sure the PNM may not say it publicly, but the PNM councillors will also agree. St. Augustine constituency sits in Tunapuna Piako region. This region starts from the north coast in Blanchisseuse and goes all the way down to Monroe Road. All the Caroni River Plain, all the flooding, all the way up to Guanapo, and going all the way in the west to Mount Hope by Grand Bazaar there. This whole area is one regional corporation with over 250,000 people, 250,000 people residing here. It is so well developed. If you so care about development and growth, and why not include Tunapuna Piako? Because we have the University of the West Indies, we have the medical sciences complex, we have all these things. Because if you are to do these things, supported by data, supported by real development objectives, that is too much hard work for them. So Faris Alwari, I'd given you warning earlier. The legislation is already prepared, and to come and to paste over the name of the corporation to say that that is an achievement, I'm warning all from now, Faris Alwari coming to say that is an achievement of his. And I'm telling you now, it is no achievement to simply rename a corporation. Give our corporation more resources. I'm giving Faris Alwari his first task. Give our regional corporations more resources. Give them more workers. Give the regional corporations more equipment such as trucks, backhoe cesspool emptier, water trucks. Give our regional corporations more support to reach those most vulnerable in our community. Give our regional corporations support to do local economic development. Give our regional corporation councillors the support that they need. Because right now, Kamala get them office, the PNM can't even pay the rent. Where Kenwin Philip? Kenwin Philip get eviction notice, he get put out, councillor from Sandy Grande. How shameful is that? The rent is $2,500. So Faris, that is your work. If you believe that you could perform, you didn't perform as Attorney General, well, you have a chance. Let me see you. We will not be letting you get a free pass here at all. I want to end by commending our UNC Women's Arm and asking you guys, my St. Augustine family, you are always with me. You come out every time we have events, but we have to be more vociferous. We have to be more outspoken, more bold. All our events have been COVID compliant. We observe social distance. Nobody ever gets sick from coming to our events. We have to continue that as the COVID situation improves, because let me tell you, those of us who survive COVID, we mightn't survive PNM. There are literally families who are starving. There are people who are being thrown out. This morning I got a photograph from a family in Curep who has been evicted, all their stuff on the road. I meet families like that all the time because they cannot pay their rent. I meet families in the grocery car park begging. Women with houses, with children behind them, with a donation sheet. We have to prepare ourselves to change government. We survived COVID, we mightn't survive PNM, but we have to stand together. And if we are to survive, Rowley has to go. I thank you very much, my St. Augustine family.
Tonight, all of Kivan gives for making my job so much easier tonight. I want to thank you and every single one of you also for giving us the support as we continue to speak to you, as we continue to bring all the very relevant information across Trinidad and Tobago by our political leader, our MPs, our senators, and our councillors. To do your vote of thanks tonight, I want to introduce to you Amelia Balraj, a law student. She lives in the constituency of St. Augustine and who will do the honors of giving the vote of thanks tonight. Welcome to the podium, Amelia Balraj.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to say that I hope the voices of these respectable members and citizens are heard and some form of change is bound to happen. Reason being, as a young person, entrepreneur, woman living in Trinidad and Tobago, I am worried for my future and the future of the generations after me. Special thanks to the following persons who always wholeheartedly support our events each and every time, despite the financial constraints they may face. Our host, Ms. Pamela Mahabir. Ms. Mahabir always supports UNC St. Augustine in every event we have. Whether it is using a home or requesting her assistance, she's always willing to assist. We also give gratitude to Sammy Tent Rentals,
UE Supermarket, Attorney Amit Mahabir, Councillor Richard Rampersad for always ensuring that our venue is perfectly decorated, the MP staff, decorators, Zambo for your delicious corn soup, DJ Tank, Miss Tarana Mohammed, and last but not least, all our St. Augustine activists who always come out at every UNC St. Augustine event and dedicate their time and service to us. Now everyone is invited to have corn soup before you leave. Thank you again for coming out, listening, and hearing us all tonight. Good night and drive home safely.